So this is me unlocking Torment 4 like 8 hours into the season before I'm even Paragon 100. I don't have tempers, I don't have ancestral gear, I don't even have my glyphs. Yeah. Sorcerer is so back. Hello, my fellow sorcerers. I have missed saying that. It is good to be back, and Season 10 is treating us real good. Today then, as always, as the season has just begun, I want to bring you the best build for getting the best build in. So what do I mean? You've leveled up, you've got to 60, you've just started Torment 1, or you're wanting to unlock Torment 1, you need an upgrade. Well, this is it. This gives you so much insane instant power. Well, it's just ridiculous. I was doing a Torment 1 Hordes, just testing it out with the others on the channel, and I was like, let me just see how my damage is doing. I'll go do the boss alone, and
you're good.
Yeah.
You're doing pretty good.
Yeah, I'm doing alright.
yeah. So that was funny, and it's just grown and grown and grown. Essentially, all you need to do is get your Esadora's amulet and then become Sorcerer God. It's quite ridiculously straightforward. So yes then, this is my take on the new and glorious Crackling Energy potential we have, and I cannot express how happy it makes me that this is a thing. It was fun to fiddle around with it on the PTR, and after so many seasons of trying to make Crackling Energy a thing, now Crackling Energy is a thing, and this is the way to play it. As soon as you hit max level, swap to this, just go grab your Esadoras, and then let the good times roll. The speed at which it farms is outrageous. I was outpacing an evade build Spiritborn. The fact that it does ridiculous single target boss damage without sacrificing any AoE to just cleaving through packs, and therefore being an absolute gem of an Infernal Hordes machine, which is important because, you know, Infernal Hordes are everything. Now, right here in all of this footage that you're seeing, I don't even have the ideal unique Chaos perk yet in Cornered Beast, so I'm missing just from that like 100% multiplicative more damage, which is just silly. And while ultimately Ball Lightning with Mana Shield will be the star of the show, the amount of gear you need to get that properly online in a way that it's definitively better than Crackling Energy is kind of ridiculous. It's going to take some grinding, it's going to take a while. In the meantime, this is the best of what Sorcerer got, and it plays just so effortlessly smoothly. It's tanky, it's fast, it's powerful. It's your ideal Season 10 smasher to begin your journey from Tier 1 to Tier 4 Torment, and honestly, it's one that you can just stay in if you fall in love with it, because it really is up there even by itself as one of the builds of the season. It just feels so good for that rapid of Crackling Energy. So without further ado then, let's get into this. Starting with, for the first time proper this season, the skill tree. Oh, I am so excited to bring you just all the sorcerer builds this season. It's such a fun one for us. Already it's so refreshing. I mean, we're starting with 5 points in Spark. How often does that happen? In any case, yes, we start with 5 points in Spark. This is for two chief reasons. Number one, we need a basic skill on our bars to power a few things, chiefly chaos perks, and secondly, we want as many ranks in shock skills as we can get. The reason being that you probably already know is Esadoras. You gain 10% multiplicative more damage for every level in shock skills you have equipped. That's the reason we want our bar to be not only full shock skills, but to have max ranks in every shock skill present to really amp our damage to 11. So this makes it a very interesting way to build, build, and it's part of the joy of new potent crackling energy. So with that said then, yeah, 5 out of 5 into Spark, and then we move on to the core, where we just simply get charged bolts into enhanced charged bolts and then destructive. You'll be firing out charged bolts constantly with the essentially permanently up unstable currents, so this is basically just a nice 25% damage reduction, help keep you alive. Then we move on to our, well, defensives, where we just max out teleport. We then go into enhanced and finally shimmering. Now, the reason we do shimmering is we need the damage reduction that will be permanently up more than we need the extra help generating crackling energy, because the crackling energy generation of this build is absolutely nuts, and this is just kind of wasted. The sturdiness is much more appreciated, and of course teleport just being phenomenal, go fast everywhere, farm quickly. We want it both on your bars and we want it in an enchantment slot so we can evade teleport and really go quick. We then get 3 out of 3 in Glass Cannon for the 24% multiplicative damage increase, because why not? We can't actually use a few normal increases to damage, so we do have some leftover points despite pouring everything into the skills. Something like Inner Flames we can't use because we're not going to be healthy, because we will be on permanent half health for our Chaos perk synergy as a good example. Again, very nice stuff to see some difference. In any case, we then go over to our enchantments, where we get Familiar, over to Enhanced, and then finally Invoked. We will always have a Thunder Familiar up, so just 10% multiplicative more damage, very, very good. We get 3 out of 3 in Mana Shield, permanent 30% damage reduction, nice to have. We get 3 out of 3 in Primordial Binding. This is chiefly for the mana regen, so we can fuel the engine for this build, which will be Ball Lightning, and the movement speed ain't too bad either. We then get 1 in Align the Elements, so we can get protection, as barriers generated by a cooldown will be our entire defensive wall of this build. A really, really sturdy defensive wall, but this is critical. We then put 5 out of 5 max into Lightning Spear, take it to Enhanced, and then finally Invoked. I like this because it just provides a lot of control, especially in Infernal Hordes. The spear's going everywhere, stunning everyone. It's very, very nice to just have. Though with 5 ranks in and how much damage we're actually doing, it's not the worst thing to take a fun roaring here for some big air quotes Lightning Spear hits, but it's just such an insignificant portion of our damage, it's not worth losing this for. However, we do put it as our second enchantment slot. We will be spawning them constantly because of all the crackling energy we're picking up, and that means we get even more primordial binding stacks, which means even more mana regen, and that's kind of the secret sauce to let you go into this build as soon as you hit Torment 1, even with bad gear. Because mana is an issue with this. Spamming Ball Lightning is very expensive, and you need to spam Ball Lightning to fuel the crackling energy to make everything work. Lots of Lightning Spears and Familiars coupled with Primordial Binding is a really, really nice little solution I'm very pleased with. In any case, we then go over to our Masteries, where we get full 5 out of 5 Ball Lightning. Again, this is our main engine here that we will be spam casting because it's got such a fast cast point, but also because, you know, down at Wizards, it just makes 2 crackling energy per cast. This is where it's at, so make sure we have this. Then you want just 1 in Invigorating Conduit. Now, you can put more in this if you're struggling with mana, and we'll go over that. Essentially, you just want to take a couple points out of Mana Shield and instead put them in Invigorating Conduit. In any case, we then move on to our ultimates. We can't make proper use of Permafrost, but we do still want 3 out of 3 Icy Touch for the vulnerable, and Hoarfrost here for chilled and frozen enemies. We'll be getting chilled and frozen via a rune, though typically I don't even have the rune yet, so technically these 3 points aren't doing anything for me, but all that footage is still, you know, you've seen how powerful this is. In any case, we then want 3 out of 3 elemental synergies. This is particularly nice because we're full shock, so a huge bonus for once. And then, of course, we want evocation for that nice free cooldown reduction just to speed everything up. Then we get full 5 out of 5 unstable currents. This is wonderful. It's going to be up all the time, literally. The attack speed is brilliant, and actually the the Crackling Energy bonus that we get from Supreme is, for once again, absolutely imperative to the setup. We then put one in Conduction just so we can get Convulsion, so we can automatically pick up Crackling Energy, which is another lovely synergy that really lets this live. And hey, the extra damage for doing so ain't too shabby either. Finally then, we get our lovely newly buffed Overflowing Energy for that 85% multiplicative increase in lightning damage, and then all that delicious cooldown reduction from the constant Crackling Energy pulsing, especially the rapid pulses of new Esadoras. Yeah, this build plays quick. It's really satisfying in that regard. So there you have it. That's what your bars will end up looking like. And so before we get into gear then, let's actually talk the flow of the build. Remember, the goal of this is to make a usable, powerful version of Crackling Energy, because it's so simple to get online. You just need one item, and you get this one item from Lord Zia, who's very easily farmable straight away. You do Legion events, you do world bosses, you do Blood Maidens, you get nice supplies of the blood, and you can go get summons and have him drop it. It's not a difficult key piece to acquire at all. And then once you do, you can make this happen in a way that's going to give you enough armor, enough resist to not just go splat, and let you immediately swap to it. The ultimate, mega peak form of Crackling Energy will look a little bit different to this, but the goal, as I keep saying, is just instant power as soon as you hit max level that'll take you all the way smoothly to Torment 4, so you can farm with the highest chance to get all the good drops. In any case then, when it comes to actually piloting this, well, I will wait until you've seen a few more of the pieces, because there is some important components. Moving on to the gear then, you want to be having a staff so we can double aspect strength, and you want it to be the aspect of charged flash just to amp up our Crackling Energy damage. The charged bolt part of it is whatever, we just care about that raw Crackling Energy damage increase. You then want to have yourself conceited, because we will have constant barriers, because we're always teleporting, we're always lightning spearing, always unstable currenting. It's going to be just a permanent nice bump for you. Then we want shredding blades to again get that huge vulnerable damage increase. It's a nice way to pump this. We want to have ourselves bounding conduit, of course. Less teleport cooldown is nice, but the Crackling Energy hitting extra targets is nice. We want to have concentration. We're always casting conjuration, so this is a really hefty damage reduction. We want to have Orange Herald just to guarantee that permanent unstable currents uptime for the huge amp that it is, both from the attack speed and the extra shock spells. And then we want to have Might to give us even more permanent damage reduction. We will be casting basic skills often enough that this is going to have 100% uptime as well, though Might is the least important aspect here, so you can replace this with something else if you prefer it. When it comes to uniques then, of course, you require Esadoras to unlock the damage here, and it has to go in your amulet slot. Now, the again, true peak version of this, where you've got all the chaos uniques you could want, which is going to be a slow farm process. They're not tradable. You have to do well in Torment plus Hordes to get the new boss, get 666 Aether, etc. It's going to be a while, but ideally you would want Esadoras as either your legs or your chest, so that we can use a different amulet with better affixes, and indeed a better aspect to getting multiplied up by the amulet 1.5. But we can't do that yet, so it's fine to just have your Esadoras where it's meant to go, which is your amulet. Then the only other unique that say, yeah, you really want to go and get this, it's not required for the build to function, but it is a notable increase, is obviously the new Galvanic Azurite. Now, I have very luckily got a Chaos unique in gloves version of this from one of my early drops, and that made things very much smoother, but you don't need need it in Chaos unique form. In fact, you don't want it in glove form because gloves are better off at being legendary. So ideally, you'd have a nice ancestral version of the real ring. You would drop the Shredding Blades ring, you'd put this on, and then you'd put on a regular pair of gloves. You'd have Shredding Blades on it that you've lost from the ring, and you are good to go. This is the ideal way round. Yes, eventually you could have a Galvanic Azurite as your legs or your chest, and then you can kind of get the best of both worlds, but as it is, you are really good to just get Esadoras in your necklace and then Galvanic Azurite for that lovely increased lightning damage and Crackling Energy support in a ring slot as it's intended to be. And talking of intended to be with ring slots, how weird is it for me to not be talking about Talrash's? It got nerfed, but it's still really strong, but obviously we're very light on fire and frost, so we're just not going to get use out of it. Another very weird thing that I wouldn't have expected to have happened, but I'm glad that it has, because it's quite refreshing. In any case then, yeah, that's how it's ended up in terms of aspects and uniques to really get you off the ground running. When it comes to gems and runes, you want critical strike damage in your weapon, and then you want intelligence in your piece of armor that has regular gems. For your jewelry, you want either armor or all resist, so skulls or diamonds, and the choice is simply based on your current amount of armor and all resist. So I have armor cap on Torment 4 with just one skull in, so that's all I'm using. I'm then using the other two for 8% all resist, because my all resist is almost there perfect again on Torment 4. So you essentially just need to look at your resist and your armor, whichever one needs the most help. If one's capped and the other isn't, then use either all resist or armor in your jewelry. Then for the runes specifically then, we want ourselves the following. Initially, you want to cast 5 skills, then become exhausted to gain critical strike chance. This just gives you a permanent 25% critical strike chance. Then ideally, your other rune would be Thule, i.e. the mystical Frost Nova caster that we can get. This gives you that chill frozen to work with our 3 points in Hoarfrost, but I just don't have it yet, so I can't be using it. And then you want to give it your best generator that you have. Honestly, changing this to work with the Thule, the 5 skills then become exhausted, is quite good because it nicely lines up and you just get that Frost Nova every 3 seconds, and then you can give just another standard generator to your crit chance. For your affixes then, on your rings, you want critical strike chance, you want intelligence, you want critical strike damage, you want attack speed and maximum life. 3 of those is ideal on both rings. On your staff, you want intelligence, life, and critical strike damage. Then on your boots, you want intelligence, life, and ranks to mastery skills, because that's ranks to ball lightning, which is more ranks to go into esadoras. On your legs, you want health, armor, and ranks to basic skills, or ranks to spark. Again, more ranks in the shock skill for esadoras. Though the armor isn't strictly required, you kind of have to balance the amount of armor you need across your legs, your boots, your chest, your helmet to make that 1000 armor cap on the Torment tier that you're on. So it's not something that can just strictly tell you. You might be able to get away with intelligence instead of armor. Then on your gloves, if you have normal gloves and you've got your Galvanic as a ring, you again want a critical strike chance, ranks of course skills, and then life or intelligence or attack speed. Then on your chest, you want intelligence, max life, and ranks to teleport. You might also want armor, again depending on your armor situation. Then finally on your helmet, you want intelligence, max life, and then armor, again depending on your armor situation, or ranks to your lightning spear to just pour as many ranks into esadoras as possible. That's why we like just normal legendary so much in this build, because we can get ranks to skills that pump esadoras everywhere, which just feels really, really good. So that's where we end up, and again, to really stress, just balance your armor rolls to have armor cap for your Torment tier, while also getting your resistances sorted, which the Paragon will help immensely with once we get to it. Tempering and masterworking. On your staff, you want to have a chance for Crackling Energy to zap up to 3 additional targets. This gives you some really nice AoE utility and then some, and then you also want to have just raw Crackling Energy damage. On your boots, you want to have evade cooldown reduction so we can spam our teleport much more often, and then very nicely ranks to static discharge. I don't even have full legendary temper manuals yet, but here we are. The reason for this is it's just free extra Crackling Energy. It's not critical, but hey, it's a nice use of that tempering slot, so we may as well. On your legs then, you will likely need percent total armor, and again, more static discharge. With all of these percent total armors that we're going to go over, again, balance to have that armor cap. If you don't need it, then you can get something else, but it's better to have more percent total armor tempers and less raw armor rolls on your armor, because the actual affixes are more valuable, and percent total armor is a really nice strong use of the temper. In any case, if you have normal gloves, you want to have yourself Crackling Energy damage, chance to crit with shock skills, or just shock critical damage, and then after that you can use what you'd like, which more than likely should again be more static discharge. On your chest, again, static discharge and percent total armor. On your helmet, you guessed it, percent total armor and static discharge. On your ring, you want either Crackling Energy damage, shock critical strike damage, shock critical strike chance, and then unstable currents cooldown reduction for that uptime, and the exact same on your other ring. That's also what you'd put on your amulet if you somehow were using a Chaos unique Esadoras with a regular amulet. When it comes to masterworking, the only real thing to say is hit ranks of skills. Like, I would love to hit the rank of teleport here, as that funnels our damage the most. If there's no ranks of skills to hit, then you want to hit just the best offensive aspect slash temper that you've got on there. On your staff, the chance for Crackling Energy to hit additional targets is really, really good too. Chaos perks then. Well, what we want is the following. Mard Guard. This gets us to 50% life at max, but we gain a load of max resist, armor, and then chiefly that increased barrier generation. This is a net gain of survivability, especially for us, because we are gaining so much barrier from all the cooldowns we're constantly pressing. The extra max resist feels great. The extra armor lets you make armor cap much, much easier, which means we can afford to have more plus skill rank rolls and less armor rank rolls, letting you go up through the Torment tiers quicker. This thing's just really good. It can feel a bit scary to be permanently set on half health. You might find yourself constantly using potions when you don't need to because you think you're injured, but you'll get used to it, and it does make you really tanky. Then you want to have explosive combinations. This then means so that when we cast Spark, we start getting this stack that gives us extra damage. This is why you want to cast your basic skill at least once every 5 seconds, so that we maintain this global damage buff, and it will double if it gets to rank 10 to 20% for 60% total, which is huge. I find it kind of annoying to constantly have to do this every 5 seconds, but it does mean we get to trigger Might constantly for the damage reduction, and then it also plays into invigorating attacks. This is another nice way to let you play this with Ball Lightning straight away, because Ball Lightning is very hungry for mana, but since we're using our basic skill at least every 5 seconds or so anyway, having it restore at rank 1 50%, but at rank 10 your entire mana supply means that we just get to make this as smooth as possible, even if your gear is kind of rough, you've just got into Torment 1. So this combination is just more damage and more resource, and works lovely. Then for your unique Chaos perk, you ideally want to have a Beast Cornered. More damage for every 10% of life you're missing, going up to 20%. You'll at least be missing 50%, so that's a 100% multiplication multiplicative damage increase, but then you'll also be draining even more life from the second part from all the mana we're spending. So yeah, this thing is huge, and the fact that I don't have it but I'm still effortlessly operating on Torment 4 is hilarious. It also obviously combos beautifully with Mad Guard, which is why it's there. If you don't have it yet like I don't, but you do have Chaos Unleashed, you might as well use Chaos Unleashed. However, if you don't have either, well, there's no reason to use Brain over Bronze, it's just worse. And there's no reason to be using Mana Shield yet. You need it upgraded, you need more support for it, and while Mana Shield is amazing and will be part of our true best build, it's going to take some serious gear before we get there, hence everything I'm talking about today. So that's where your Chaos perks are at. When it comes to playing this build then, it's fairly straightforward. You want to just spam your ball lightnings and do that constantly, essentially just hold it down. Obviously when I'm doing nothing else I keep running out of mana, but that's not the case in an, actual active combat situation. You want to do a basic skill at least once every 5 seconds, just kind of maintain that buff. Then when it comes to everything else on your bars, Lightning Spear, your Familiar, and your Unstable Currents, you just press it as soon as it's off cooldown and just kinda mash it like a piano. Teleport is reserved for keeping your damage reduction buff up and going fast, the same with your evade teleport. And I should say you want your boots ideally to have attacks reduce evade cooldown, as that really speeds up this build. So when it's all kind of in practice and everything's going, as you can see, the whole mana situation just immediately solves itself and we can just forever cast our ball lightning, which means that we just have absolutely insane sparking energy to be generated, constantly reaching that max requirement to make Esadoras pop and having a great old damaging time. Which then takes us to Paragon. Now of course I've only got 139 points spent here, but I already have pretty much the meat of what I want. Glyphs are the main issue here because they're still low level and I've only got 2 of them slotted. In any case, you start on your basic board, follow me point for point. We want to grab Elementalist, get all that non-physical damage we can. Then we want to go left, grab Resilience. You will likely want this extra all resist too. Every time I go over an all resist node, essentially look at your resist. If you're capped, you don't need to take it. If you aren't capped, then take it. Paragon is great for Sorcerer, getting your resist cap very easily, again to push Torment tiers as fast as possible. We want to go up to this willpower through the intelligence to the glyph slot, where we will slot charged, as it's nice and easy to get the 40 intelligence requirement here, and it's a nice big damage increase to, of course, Crackling Energy. We then want to go up and get studied, and then also go past Elemental Balance into the next board. Now, early on, when your glyphs are low level, what matters most is getting legendary nodes. So that's what your early Paragon is going to be focusing on. So we want to arrange ourselves Enchantment Master so it's in the bottom right, close to the gate, and then we want to head straight up to this all resist, grab left Blessing here, more health, more all resist, and then rush to get Enchantment Master. We have 2 shock enchantments, which is why we do have 2 shock enchantments to juice this as much as possible. We then want to continue up towards Suffused Resilience, grab that, and then head right into the next board. Ignore all of this for now. That next board then is going to be this, Ceaseless Conduit, of course, for that Crackling Energy support. You want to arrange it so the glyph is in the bottom left, and then you immediately go to this intelligence, go up and round through Conduit, and then all the way in order to grab Ceaseless Conduit. After that, we continue here through the all resist, getting more Suffused Resilience, and then up north to the gate, where we then place Static Surge for that mana regeneration, and we just want to place it like this so the legendary node is as close to the gate as it can be, and then we immediately just go grab it. After that, we leave this board for now, come back down here, head to this intelligence, and head down to the glyph slot, where we want to put in Exploit and get it activated with the dex. Yes, I have 1 extra here, I could just take that strength, save 2 points here, but I want the extra intelligence and I don't desperately need to free up a point at the moment. In any case, grab Galvanic Catalyst, grab yourself Devastate, and then we head to this gate here. Now, I've put this on just to show you. You want to put the glyph in range here, and this is going to be your Frigid Fate. However, Frigid Fate won't be too amped, mine's only 32%, until you get enough of that non-physical damage to buff your damage with cold, so this one you don't actually have to rush to. A lot of glyphs will offer you value. You want this to be reaching the 40, 45, 50 mark before we make the effort to get it. In any case, this is where you would place it. After that, then, you want to do the following. Head back to your Enchantment Master and then start to actually creep towards, via Ruinous, the Glyph slot, where we will eventually get both Tactical and Elemental Balance, and then in this Glyph slot, you want to get yourself Destruction slotted and activated. Then you want to head up to here, back to that Static Surge, where we will now head round through Incapacitate to the Glyph slot, also grabbing Electro, where we will slot and activate Elementalist. Then finally you will come down to this Frigid Fate, head straight down here, go to the Glyph slot, then go right past Weakness all the way round, get that Frigid Fate, also grab Elemental Favor, and then our last glyph that we will slot and activate will be Unleash in here. That's your kind of general overview while you've got a low amount of points to get as much value and power as quickly as possible. Mercenaries wise, as this is a, initial Torment build, you really want to have Rahir because you want to have this 15% all resist that will help you immensely. The damage reduction is also really good, and he does give you a nice little damage increase too. Then for your support, you want to have Vayana for the lovely 10% attack speed that she regularly gives you. Other than that then, ladies and gentlemen, we are here. The initial starter but still ridiculously, sillily powerful Crackling Energy build. Get your Esadoras, throw everything else together, and enjoy your free ride to Torment 4. I will be back as soon as possible with a first look at our proper best builds of the season, but for now, this is already one of our best builds of the season, so truly enjoy it, and I hope that you do. Like if you've enjoyed this, subscribe and hit the bell for more, consider supporting the future of the channel on Patreon down below, and until we meet again, a goodbye.
Josh, Cotton, and Hollow with the videos, dropping the humor like a hammer on your tippy toes, bringing entertainment on a daily arrangement to take our insanity and turn it into entertainment. Yes, I said entertainment twice, to reiterate that it is nice to look into your faces on a mostly daily basis when you let us in your homes to make the whole world a stage. Goodbye.